Death in our society is really hard for people to get their heads around and to talk about it. It's still a taboo subject.
Are you right to come down to radiation on Voluntary?
Few people would choose to follow in the footsteps of Canberra's palliative care health workers.
I really love what I do. I love palliative care. I love caring for people who just need that little bit extra. So it's a really honourable place to be in someone's life.
It's really teary. Really appreciate it.
It is hard. There are times when it can be really difficult, but for the most part, to be able to see the difference you can make in someone's life.
I think you've got to be a special type of person. But, you know, to be able to sort of, you feel as though they're really caring for you.
The ABC has been given a rare glimpse behind the curtain at the Canberra Hospital to meet those who care for the dying.
We started the medicinal cannabis last night.
Yeah.
Nurse practitioner Kate Reid offers medical care, counselling and pain relief to patients diagnosed with a terminal illness, providing comfort when they're feeling at their most vulnerable.
A lot of people think that it's just about the last few days of life or when people are actually actively dying. It certainly isn't about that at all. People who are diagnosed with a life-limiting illness do have access to palliative care at time of diagnosis, so they don't have to be ill at that time. Whether I look after them for 8 minutes or 8 years, which is the longest I've looked after anyone who's been referred to me, it's a really important work.
At the Canberra Hospital, palliative care comes in many forms. When modern medicine can only do so much, clinical musician Alison Ware brings harp therapy to the wards. For some patients, it's a welcome moment of peace in turbulent times. Meanwhile, at outpatient clinics...
So sorry. Okay, so like we said, it's really been the last 3 days have made it much worse.
Kate Reid helps patients understand their illness and the inevitability of their diagnosis.
What I would like to make sure is that when we are having discussions with people about end of life, that there aren't necessarily taboo subjects.
But by law, there's one issue that Kate can't raise with her patients: voluntary assisted dying.
I've had a few patients raise it with me. It's a very topical issue, and so people are aware of that voluntary assisted dying is coming into the ACT.
For 25 years, the Commonwealth blocked the ACT from making its own euthanasia legislation, until that was overturned last December. In the meantime, every Australian state introduced its own assisted dying laws. So now there's a sense of urgency for the ACT to catch up. Pushed by people like Kath Dixon.
It wasn't really a huge shock. I knew that something was wrong, but I was hoping it was not quite leukemia. Anyway, that's what it turned out to be. I like my milk creamer.
Kath may only have months to live and has had frank discussions with her family over what the end will look like.
I didn't want to become a burden on everyone around me, and I didn't want to lose all my faculties and just be this miserable vegetable.
And to die with dignity.
And with dignity, yes.
She's long advocated for voluntary euthanasia, getting guidance from controversial group Exit International. So even if the ACT laws come too late for her, and it's likely they will, she still has a plan.
Mum would never be a burden on us. If she wants to stay alive for however long, and she won't be a burden. Like, we're happy to look after you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think to add to that, it's Mum's choice.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes.
We hope that she has that option legally, and if she doesn't, then she will still have options.
What options do you have?
Well, I guess what it comes down to is suicide, one way or another, but it would be much more pleasant for everybody if you could do it legally without too much hassle.
For now, Kath Dixon is soaking up the last of life's little pleasures. But she says she's not afraid of the next chapter. Are you scared of the process of dying?
No, not at all. No, it's the part of living, really. You're born, you live your life, and then you die. Yes, I think it's a human right to have that option of ending your life when you feel as though it's over.
Every Australian state has its own version of voluntary euthanasia laws, and soon it'll be the ACT's turn to debate the issue.
I think the community view is that they're looking forward to the ACT finally being able to get on with it.
Legal experts argue assisted dying laws are working safely interstate because of tight restrictions on who's eligible.
You have to be an adult, you have to have decision-making capacity, you have to have an advanced and progressive illness. It has to be incurable in some states, and you have to be expected to die within 6 or 12 months, depending on the nature of your illness or where you live.
But the Barr government is planning a more liberal take, arguing terminally ill children should be included in the scheme.
Is 18 the right starting point for us here in the ACT, or should we be considering the concept of a lower age or something like a mature minor? And it may well be that an age limit is arbitrary, and it would be about a medical professional's assessment of a person's decision-making capacity rather than them simply ticking over a birthday.
The ACT government says voluntary assisted dying has 80% community support, but Catholic leaders still say no.
It seems to me that euthanasia and VAD are a brutal and a tragic way of dealing with terminal illness for people in their great fragility.
The ACT only has one end-of-life hospice, Clare Holland House, run by the Catholic Church on behalf of the government. Will voluntary assisted dying ever be offered as an option in end-of-life care at Clare Holland House?
No, it won't, and not only Clare Holland House, but I can speak with certainty that it won't be offered in any of our healthcare facilities.
And after recently announcing a takeover of Calvary Public Hospital, the ACT government says it's looking at all options for the hospice. Is it tenable that Calvary refuses to offer voluntary assisted dying in that facility when it is funded to provide that service by the government?
I think there is a very reasonable view that faith-based hospice facilities are appropriate, but that having a secular facility would also be very welcome by the community.
And that could mean building a second facility to ensure that dying patients can exercise their legal right to voluntary euthanasia.
I think that is certainly something that the ACT government is considering as an option.
The government plans to introduce its voluntary assisted dying bill to the Assembly later this year. It's ACT Greens policy to support the issue. For all other members, it'll be a conscience vote. Craig Allen, ABC News, Canberra.